Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, I have this little Word document that I just whipped up. We're going to be running through every single roster in the LCS, every single new roster, every move that's happened. We're going to be breaking down. I'm going to be giving my thoughts and opinions on every single roster change that's happened. Again, this offseason has been absolutely insane. It's been one of the most exciting in League of Legends history, especially for Western fans. And there's just a lot happening. It was hard to keep up with. Maybe you don't know the latest up-to-date information, but also I'm going to be giving my opinion on whether I think each move was an upgrade or a downgrade, and all that good stuff. So we're just going to be running through the rosters based on the reverse order of the summer split final standings for the LCS in 2020. It'll make sense as we get into it. So this video might be a little bit longer, but I'll try not to take too long on each team or each move or anything, but I'll just, break everything down. One big, long video. So let's go. First up, we have Immortals. So in the summer split, they finished 10th. They went 4-14. Their roster was Alorum, Xmithie, Insanity, Apollo, and Hakuho. And their new roster is now Revenge, Xerxes, Insanity coming back, Raze, and Destiny. So I think that Revenge is going to be a downgrade over Alorum. In my opinion, Revenge might be the worst top laner in the LCS. Obviously, he's a young guy who hasn't proven much. We're going to see what exactly he can do, but I'm not a huge fan of him. I'm not expecting too much from him here. I do think in the short term, maybe not in the short term, but I think overall Xerxes is going to be an upgrade over Xmithie. Obviously, Xmithie's been one of the best players in LCS history, but he's getting up there in age. People have motivation, questions, and issues and stuff. And if you're trying to start building for the future, Xerxes is still really, really talented, and he has a chance to have a very good split and year for Immortals. But obviously, this is more a move for the future too, so I did like this move. I like them bringing back Insanity. I do have Raze as an upgrade over Apollo, but I do have Destiny as a downgrade over Hakuho. Obviously, that new bot lane coming in. They're going to have a lot to prove. It'll be interesting to see how well they can work together and just how they're going to compare to other LCS talents at their position. Apollo and Hakuho were both really solid. Most people would say Hakuho is the better end of that duo. So I think it'll be easier to replace Apollo than Hakuho, but we'll see how that goes. Overall, I think Immortals got a little bit better. I like the moves they made, but I think the rest of the league kind of got worse. And for next season, I have Immortals in 8th place as my projection at this time. Things are going to change, obviously, until we've seen the teams on stage or anything like that. Things are going to move around, but just on paper, I would put them around 8th at this point. Next up, we have CLG in 2020 summer split. They finished 9th. They went 5-13. Their roster was Ruin, Wiggly, Pobelter, Stixay, and Smoothie. As you can see, they brought in Finn in the top lane, Brox as their new jungler, bringing back Pobe, Wild Turtle's a new AD carry, and Smoothie is looking like he's still going to be the support. So while Finn is coming over from Rogue, he didn't have a great end to the year, didn't have a great summer split, didn't have a great playoffs, didn't have a great Worlds. He's coming over to CLG, and I think he's an upgrade over Ruin, so I do like that move for them there. Same thing with Broxa. Broxa didn't have a great year, didn't have a great split, didn't have a great playoff, didn't have a great Worlds. He's coming over to CLG. I still think he's an upgrade over Wiggly, so I like that move for CLG. Pobelter is going to be Pobe. Wild Turtle is one of the better AD carries in the league right now. He looks like a beast. He's coming off a very, very good year where he made it to finals and back-to-back splits. He went to Worlds. He did pretty well. He's going to be a massive upgrade over Stixay. And then Smoothie is still going to be Smoothie. Obviously, I have CLG around 7th place. I could see them making the playoffs. I could see them fighting up into that 6th spot, no problem. I don't know if they could really crack the top 5. I mean, I think 5th is probably the ceiling for this team, but I see them more like closer to like 6th or 7th. I like some of the things they did. I think Broxa and Finn are huge question marks. If they can get, Fnatic Broxa, then this team could be very good and very scary. But if they get Team Liquid Broxa, then CLG is going to be in a little bit of trouble. But overall, a good offseason. They got better in 3 different positions. That's solid. Next up, we have Dignitas. In the summer split, they finished 8th. They went 5-13 with a roster of Viper, Dardoch, Phoenix, Johnson, and Afromu. Now they got Fate God coming into the top lane. I do think he is an upgrade over Viper, but I do not think that is saying much. I think Viper was the worst top laner in the league last year, and I'm not super high on Fate God. I'm not super excited for him either, but I do think he's better than Viper. Dardoch is still going to be Dardoch. Phoenix, I do think Soligo is a little bit of a downgrade from Phoenix. Again, I'm not a huge Phoenix fan, but I'm not completely sold on Soligo either. We've seen a little bit of him in the LCS before, and from what the games I've seen him play, he hasn't looked too impressive. That doesn't mean he can't develop. That doesn't mean he can't get better. but it's not super exciting for me short term. I like that they're building up talent for the long term. That's great, whatever. We're talking about 2021. I don't think Soligo is going to be that good in the mid lane, at least right away. Johnson going to Neo. That's obviously going to be a pretty massive downgrade. Johnson's one of the better AD carries in the league, and he's young, has a bright future ahead of him. That change really feels bad to make. And then Aframu coming back for support. Hopefully he can still be at the top of his game. Overall, I see this being the potential 10th place team in the league. If you had Golden Guardians or Immortals at 10th and wanted to move Dignitas up a little bit, I wouldn't really argue with you too much, but I'm really not excited about this team. Dardock's coming off not a very great year. Neo is not exciting for me at all. Fate God and Soligo having two young, shaky solo laners is just a recipe for disaster. I see this as one of the worst rosters in the league, but that is their roster. Next up, we got 100 Thieves. They finished 7th in the summer split. They went 7-11 with a roster of Someday, Contracts, Ryoma, Cody Sun, and Poom. And this year, they have Someday, Closer, Demonte, FBI, and Huhi coming in. Obviously, they stole Golden Guardians' roster, and then they threw Someday in the top lane, which is a very awesome roster because Golden Guardians was already very, very good last year. They just had some questions and issues in the top lane, and 100 Thieves had questions everywhere except top lane, so it was kind of a match made in heaven. Closer's obviously an upgrade over Contracts. Closer's an absolute beast. He's going to be one of the better junglers in the league. Demonte, even though I'm not super high on him, he's one of the better native mid laners. If you need a native mid laner, he is your man. I think he's definitely better than Ryoma, though still. FBI, in my opinion, best AD carry in the league. Love that upgrade there. I am a fan of Cody Sun, but obviously FBI is still an upgrade there. And then Poom going back down to Academy. He's going to be a good talent one day. The future's bright for him, but he's not ready for the LCS yet. Huhi is a clear upgrade there. I have this team 4th, but I am very, very excited for this roster. I could very easily see them finishing 3rd, passing up TSM. They could even finish 2nd and potentially take some games off like Cloud9, in my opinion, if this team clicks together. Because this is a very, very scary roster. This is one of the better rosters in the LCS, and they're very solid across the board. No clear weaknesses anywhere for me, unless Demonte just has a really, really bad year, bad split. But yeah, Demonte is probably what brings them down outside of the top 3, outside of Worlds for me. But they're still a very, very good team. But the LCS as a whole got a lot better, especially at the top in this offseason. So that's the only reason I have them 4th, but that's still a big jump up from 7th in the summer split. Next up, we have Evil Geniuses. They finished 6th place in summer. They went 8-10 with the roster of Huni, Svenskeren, Jizuke, Bang, and Zazel. And now this year, they're running it with Impact, Svenskeren, Jizuke, Deathly, and Ignar. So obviously, Huni, he's very exciting, very interesting guy to watch, but he's very coin flip, and Impact is pretty much the opposite of that. He's one of the most consistent rocks you can have in the top lane. He's an absolute beast. That's a huge upgrade for them. Svenskeren and Jizuke coming back. Deathly, he might be the worst AD carry in the league this year, so that is a massive downgrade from Bang and a move I'm very, very disappointed about. And then Ignar coming in for Zazel, I see as a pretty big upgrade. I'm not a big fan of Zazel, and I don't love Ignar, but I think he is very good. I think he's very talented, he's very solid, and definitely a step up from Zazel in my opinion. There's a couple things I hate about this roster. One, I love that they're bringing in Impact and Ignar. I think those are going to be great for the team. Those got me super excited, but we didn't know who their mid laner was going to be. We didn't know who their AD carry was going to be. Once I found out they were going with Jizuke and Deathly, that kind of killed all the hype of this roster for me. At one point, I thought, I was thinking with Impact, Svenskeren, and Ignar, that's kind of looking like a team that could maybe compete for a world spot, could maybe be top 3 or 4 in North America. But I don't think any team with Jizuke in mid lane and Deathly at AD carry is doing any damage anytime soon. I have them 6th. Again, if you had CLG higher than them and moved them down to 7th, I wouldn't argue with you too much. I think this team is obviously solidly better than Immortals, Golden Guardian, and Dignitas, but this team has some issues. If they could find an improvement in AD carry or mid laner, I think that would do wonders for this roster and get me way, way more excited about them. Next up, we have Golden Guardians. Obviously, we saw most of their players are gone. They're over to 100 Thieves now. In the summer split, they finished 5th. They went 9-9 with a roster of Haunter, Closer, Demonte, FBI, and Huhi. And they're bringing in 5 new players. They're going very, very young. They're in full rebuild mode. Niles in the top lane. I think he's a downgrade over Haunter. Obviously, he's a young guy. He could prove to be better, but it's tough for me to say right now that he's better than Haunter. Iconic. A lot of people were really questioning Golden Guardians going with him as their starting jungler, and that's definitely going to be a downgrade over Closer. Demonte, they have a Blaze Olive now. I do think a Blaze Olive is a downgrade just because we haven't really seen him in the LCS yet. We don't really know what he's going to do. He's been a beast in Academy for a couple of years now, but Demonte has been pretty solid in the LCS, so I would still say it's a downgrade. But I think a Blaze Olive could potentially get to be better than Demonte one day, but he'll have to prove it to me first. And then Stixay, a downgrade over FBI. Obviously, FBI, best AD carry in the league. Getting anybody would be a downgrade. But Stixay's coming off a couple bad years. And then Newbie coming into support, who I think is going to be a downgrade over Huhi as well. Because Huhi is actually not a bad support. He's turned out to be very, very solid. But again, Newbie could end up being better than Huhi. But this Golden Guardians roster is super young, ton of question marks. They have a lot to prove. It's hard for me to say too much how good or how bad they're going to be until we actually see them on the Rift altogether. It's just a very, very inexperienced team. And just because you've been able to do stuff in academy or collegiate or in a different region or something does not mean you're just going to walk into the LCS and be as good. But people are hyped up for Niles. People are hyped up for Blaze Olive. Some people want to see Stixay bounce back. But you throw this mess all together, and to me, this is looking like a 9th place team. Next up, we got Team Solo Mid. They finished 4th in the summer split. They went 12-6 with Broken Blade, Spica, Bjergsen, Doublelift, and Biofrost. They now have Huni in the top lane, who I have as a downgrade over Broken Blade. They have a lot of the same issues. They're both very, very inconsistent. They're both absolutely massive carries, but have some big question marks about random deaths, getting caught out. Can they play tanks? Can they play weak side? And even though Huni has higher highs than Broken Blade in the last couple years and in his career as well, Broken Blade is much more consistent, still has comparable highs, and probably has higher lows. Huni, I think, if he is motivated, if Bjergsen and the TSM coaching staff can kind of get him under control, he could be very, very solid for TSM, but I for sure see him as the weak link on this roster, which, if Huni's your weakest link, your team's probably not too bad, but it's still scary. Spica, I think he has a chance to become one of the better junglers in the league this year. He was already a beast last year. He was already one of the best junglers, but he can take that next step up to maybe even competing with like Blabber and Santorin for that very, very #1 spot. Young guy with a ton of talent. Love his attitude. Love his play style. PoE coming in for Bjergsen. I do have that as a downgrade, but I think Power Vivo is an absolute beast. I think he's going to be one of the best mid laners in the league. I'm super, super excited. If Bjergsen was going to retire and TSM was going to have to get anybody, Power Vivo would be close to the top of my list, especially for guys that have been playing in the LCS. I'm excited for Power Vivo coming to TSM. Doublelift retired. We got Lost coming in. I do have this as an upgrade. Doublelift is coming off pretty much the worst year of his career, where he looked terrible in Spring Split, looked a little bit better in Summer Split, but not much better. I mean, he had some decent games here and there, but for the most part got dragged to an LCS title and then went 0-6 at Worlds. Again, this isn't necessarily me thinking that Lost is going to be a beast. I think he has a chance to be decent. But I think Lost is going to look really good with Sword Art as support, and I think he has a chance to look much better than Doublelift did with Biofrost and Treats, and just in his form last year. And then obviously the huge pickup here is Sword Art coming in. Even if Huni's a little bit of a downgrade, even if Power Evil's a little bit of a downgrade, even if Lost is a little bit of a downgrade, Sword Art is such a massive upgrade over Biofrost. He's going to come in. I hope he's going to teach his team how to play the game correctly, how to play like that LPL craziness style. And just get this team going, making big, exciting plays. And even if they fail, at least be trying and working towards the correct play style. But still, I think this team has a ton of talent. PoE, Spica, Sword Art, that's such an insane core. To me, this is looking like the 3rd best team in North America. Next up, we have FlyQuest. They finished 3rd in the summer split. They went 12-6 with a roster of Solo, Santorin, Power Vivo, Wild Turtle, and Ignar. They now have Licorice coming into the top lane. I think that's a huge upgrade over Solo. Solo was kind of a middle to bottom tier top laner. He was the big question mark, the big weakness for FlyQuest. And Licorice is one of the best top laners in the whole league. Jose Dioto coming in for Santorin. I'm really hyped up for Jose Dioto. I think he's going to be a beast in North America. I'm really rooting for him. I thought he was so exciting, so fun to watch at Worlds. And I think he's going to be good in NA. But Santorin is probably the best jungler in North America right now, so it's still a downgrade for me. Palafox coming in for Power of Evil. He's one of the most hyped up rookies. He was one of the best, if not the best, academy mid laners last year. But he's worse than Power of Evil. He is a downgrade. We'll see how he can develop. Hopefully he turns into a beast. Wild Turtle is now going to be Johnson in the bot lane for FlyQuest. Johnson, again, same situation. He's a beast. He's really young. He's got such a bright future ahead of him. He is even really, really good right now. He's one of the better AD carries in North America, but Wild Turtle's coming off such a good year. This is still a downgrade in my opinion. And then Diamond coming in for Ignar. Again, Diamond was one of the best, if not the best supports in Academy last year. He's a beast. People are really hyped up for him. But he's still a downgrade over Ignar right now. He's going to have to prove to me and to everyone just how good he is. We're going to see. There's so many young players in the LCS this year. We don't know how all of them are going to do. Some of them are going to shoot straight up to being some of the best in their position right off the bat. And some of them are going to flop completely and they're going to be terrible and they're going to be out of the league next year. So just make sure with all rookies, you temper your expectations. You let them do their thing. That you got to let them show it to you on the Rift, on the big stage, before you start just handing too much stuff to them. Overall, I think this FlyQuest team is interesting. But I have them as a 5th place team. I don't think they're going to be going back to Worlds or playing in any finals or anything like that. But the future is bright. They're developing a ton of young talent here. They have some of the best young talent in the entire league. This is really exciting if I was a FlyQuest fan. Next up, we got Cloud9. They finished 2nd in the summer split. They went 13-5 with a roster of Licorice, Blabber, Niski, Sven, and Vulcan. And now they got Fudge coming into the top lane. Again, this is another guy who's I sound like broken record. There's so many of the guys in LCS right now. Very young, hyped up talent. This guy has international experience. He has been very, very good before. He was a beast. But that doesn't mean he's better than Licorice. To me, in the top lane, this is a big, big, big downgrade for Cloud9. Licorice is one of the best top laners in the entire league. That doesn't mean Fudge can't get to there one day, or maybe even he can't get to there this year by the end of the year. But right off the bat, this is a clear downgrade in the top lane, and Fudge is the big question mark on this Cloud9 roster for me, because they have just a bunch of really, really great players all around him. We got Blabber in the jungle, and then Niski is going to be Perks in the mid lane for Cloud9 this split. Obviously, he's going to be potentially the best player in all of the LCS. He's going to be an MVP favorite, if not, the favorite for MVP coming into the year. This is the biggest signing for North America. And then we still got Sven and Vulcan in the bot lane, who are, pretty consistent. They're going to be solid for you. They're going to make a ton of plays. But everyone is going to be watching this Perks, Blabber, Jung mid duo and seeing the kind of stuff they can do. And then seeing how solid Fudge is. If Fudge is as advertised, this team is going to compete with Team Liquid for the best team in the LCS, and they even have a chance to do damage at Worlds. But if Fudge does not live up to expectations, Cloud9 could be in trouble. Finally, we have Team Liquid. They finished 1st in the summer split. They went 15-3 with a roster of Impact, Broxa, Jensen, Tactical, and Core JJ. And they have Alfari coming in to replace Impact in the top lane, and Santorin coming in to replace Broxa in the jungle. This was the best team in the LCS last year in the regular season, and they got better. They got better in the top lane. Alfari coming over from EU, one of the best LEC top laners. Even though Impact is great, I still think this is an upgrade. And then Santorin coming in as perhaps the best jungler in the LCS last year, replacing the weakest link of Team Liquid last year, which was Broxa. So again, Team Liquid had a position of need in jungle, and they got one of the best options available. They were already a great team, and now they got even better. This team needs to win the LCS, and they need to get out of groups at Worlds again. They almost did this last year with a worse roster. Now they've made 2 improvements. They should win the LCS. They should make it out of groups at Worlds, and they should potentially even be able to, once you get into quarterfinals, you got a shot to make it to semis. So this team and Cloud9, Team Liquid and Cloud9 both have a chance to do very, very well domestically, but then also give North America some hope at Worlds, which is all we are asking for. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. This was my 2021 LCS off-season roster breakdown, breaking down every single roster, every single move. Was it an upgrade? Was it a downgrade? My thoughts and opinions on every single team, player, and all that good stuff going on in the LCS. I know a lot of people have asked for this, so I hope you guys did appreciate this. It did take a little bit more time to throw all together than my usual video, which usually is not much effort or anything. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. Definitely drop a like if you did. Leave a comment down below. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What do you guys think about all the different rosters and moves and players? And any thoughts and opinions you guys have about any part of the video, I would love to hear about. Subscribe to update on my latest content. Check me out over at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_germ. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.